95 of folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Up now as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for circuit display Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
See just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
J2ICS up front. There's Andrew Kessel, just insane.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons. Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the J2Y Sprint Series as we are here today for race number 7 right here at Sonoma Raceway, right here in the United States. Folks, welcome back to the racing as my name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad bringing you the action here today, 1080p, 60 frames a second as we gear up for some very exciting racing here at the 2.5 mile long track and get ourselves ready for what will be the second to last. The second to last sprint race of the season. After this one, 2 weeks from now, we head back to Mount Panorama, where we will see the final round of the sprint series take place at Mount Panorama, aka or better known as Bathurst. To those of you that may not be as familiar with the actual racetrack name as I was when I first started on this service, but as we currently have qualifying underway, 15 minutes to be exact, that drivers are going to have to put down the best time that they can here today at this very tricky and very technical circuit and a very easy track to get yourself in very tricky situations. The past times that I have had the opportunity to race at Sonoma, it's very easy to get yourself going in the wrong direction. It's easy to light up that rear end and lose any sort of traction that you might have underneath you, given the elevation changes that we have here. It is also a very, very hot and sticky track that we have out here. You can see on the right-hand side of your screens, 73 degrees Fahrenheit is the ambient air temperature at this moment. But if you look all the way down on the bottom of the infographic that we have, 93 degrees Fahrenheit is the track temperature. So a 20-degree difference between the two, and that is more than certainly going to have an impact on drivers' race here today. Squilliam, Black Bob, Wallace, all going to make their way out onto the timing tower for the very first time here today, and we'll see what their times are going to be looking like here. If I can pull up the correct information, there it is. A 125.001, a almost 125 flat here for Squilliam. I mean, you could essentially call it flat if you want to. That is going to be the benchmark here for the first laps that we're going to see here. I'm sure that time is going to slowly improve as drivers are able to start to get temperature into the tires. And so, oh boy. Gareth McAllister, and I believe that was 976. It was 976, having a little bit of an incident here in qualifying, but no harm, no foul. Nothing is going to impact their qualifying here today, as they still have about 10 minutes left to go before that checkered flag is waved. So luckily they still have plenty of time to work with to get the best time that they can out of these cars. Black Bob Wallace comes across the line the second time, and at 124.284 is going to be the triple six machine's best time here, and also going to set the pace for qualifying here at this moment. Squilliam, Beaver, John Downey, and Gareth McAllister. And John Downey, that's a new name that I have not seen here. Let me pull up my handy-dandy cheat sheet here and figure out. Okay, so Black Bob and Mr. John, a.k.a. Brosidon, are both on the same team here with Team ZFG, as it's a little, their actual full team name is a little bit on the edge of breaking iRacing broadcasting policy, so we're not going to tiptoe into that nether region. We enjoy putting on our broadcast here on the Team Goon Squad channel. We don't exactly want to infringe upon that in any way, but needless to say, Team ZFG out here in full force here tonight, and really I think the first time in a while. I don't think I've seen either of these two drivers in a few races, so it's great to see them out here on track, as we have Beaver with a 124.215 as the best time to beat. So getting closer and closer to that 124 flat mark, and only about a few hundredths of a second separating both Beaver and Black Bob. Excuse me. And with 9 minutes still left to go here in qualifying, there's still plenty of time for drivers to get the best time that they can out of these machines. And let's actually go ahead and ride on board with Mr. Paper Bag here in the 420 machine, and just kind of get an idea of what the track is like here at Sonoma for those of you that may have never taken a lap around this very unique track. And you can see here already the elevation changes in the blind apexes that drivers have to manage to hit here on this track. Again, it is a lot of things that could go wrong for these drivers, so you have to be on your A game. This is going to test every single one of these drivers' capabilities here today, I do believe. As again, you can see as we continue to ride on board here with Paper Bag, you can see all of the oh boy, as he gets a little wide there. But again, you can see all the blind apexes that drivers are encountering. You can see also the very high curbing in some areas of the track, and also right here as Paper Bag gets a little bit loose, quickly recovers it, avoids getting further into the sand there. But that just goes to show folks how easy it can be to push the limit just too far and really have a huge impact on your race here today. Squilliam, the number 6 machine, not quite having a good qualifying day here, as timing and scoring is showing us he was down somewhere where he wasn't supposed to be on the track, and unfortunately bringing that car back down to pit road to kind of reset himself and get back out onto the track here. Probably suffering a little bit of damage to the race car as well. Not entirely certain. Might be able to go back and take a look at that here, as Beaver, again, still the driver to beat with a 123.915, as we've now surpassed that 124 mark. Black Bob is the only driver to crack into that 123 range as well, and only just 4/100ths of a second behind Beaver. So basically Beaver, Black Bob going to be neck and neck in pace in qualifying. Will that translate over into race pace? Kind of remains to be seen. DC John Downey, a.k.a. Brosidon, there in that 124 region. Squilliam, Eat My Dust in the 125s, along with Gareth McAllister, Biker Pilot in Lamp. Gareth McAllister coming across the line, improving his last time around. Oh boy, coming into 7th here, but even excuse me, even the Australian is having some troubles here at Sonoma, keeping this car in a straight line here. Again, drivers trying to find every bit of the track that they can to push the limits, try and get every tenth of a second that they can out of their lap. But that also can mean you are that much closer to danger if you are really trying to push things. But frankly, folks, from what I can tell and from what I can see, there's not many situations that drivers are getting themselves into wrecks or ultimately anything that they can't come back from and get back onto the track and continue racing. So that is a very good thing to see here, as Paperbag kind of finding himself in a, I think that's around the same spot. Oh boy, just up ahead, DC Eat My Dust as well. Both having a little bit of a moment themselves up ahead, on a little bit further ahead of the track, but what we're awaiting to see right now is are any of these drivers going to have a response to either Beaver or Black Bob's pace, as again DC is the closest to these two and he is still about 0.5 of a second behind these two. So there is a lot of pace left between the top two drivers and the rest of the field. Will they be able to close that down and kind of bring that in a little bit closer? Well, we'll have to wait and see, and also we'll have to see how that is going to translate over into the race. This is going to be a very difficult track here, folks, and I can't stress to you enough how exciting this race is going to be, not only for the drivers, but for us watching here at home. And I hope that all of you watching at home are enjoying the show so far. So while we have a little bit of time here, let's go ahead and run through our point standings. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, let's go ahead and run through our point standings here as they currently are. And up in the front of the field, currently holding on to the points lead, it is Mr. Beaver, the number 10 driver for Team Loveseat, that currently holds the lead spot with 248 total points to his name. 49 points behind him is Squilliam in second place, 199 points here for the Backmarker Motorsports driver, and currently is going to be looking to try and close that here today. Currently sits third behind Beaver. Has a good opportunity to potentially pull something off here today points-wise. We'll have to see how that develops here today, as we also have Mr. DC5R, or as we better know him as DC, sitting in third place with 185 points at the moment. 63 behind the points leader, but only 14 behind Squilliam. So DC also going to be looking for a good points day as well for himself in Team Bong Life Motorsports. But speaking of the teams, this is where things are a little bit more interesting, as Bong Life Motorsport actually leads the series with 316 points in Bong Life Motorsport, consisting of Urko and DC. Backmarker Motorsport sits in second with 307 points, only 9 points behind our leaders. And Backmarker Motorsport, consisting of Squilliam and Prince Adam. Team Loveseat sits in third, 11 points behind our leaders with 305 points. Loveseat consisting of drivers Beaver and Captain CK. And as we have a minute and a half left here in qualifying, we're going to get things wrapped up here very shortly, and thus far, it looks like Beaver is going to be comfortable up there in the front row. No one able to kind of knock on the door of that 123.5 that he was able to set here. Black Bob coming in with a 123.6 even, and Squilliam able to crack down into the 123 range as well here in the final moments of qualifying. Still a little bit of time left here for drivers to make any final attempts at their qualifying here, and we'll see if anyone is going to be lucky to improve with only just less than a minute left to go here before the checkered flag is waved. And the man that we're going to be looking at right now, the man that we're expecting to potentially push his way a little bit further up the top three, Squilliam, the number 6 driver, as he has a little bit of a shaky exit there. I'm not sure what it's going to be here, and it's not going to be enough to push up into second, but it is an improvement nonetheless here for Squilliam, as we see 976 getting just a little bit off into the sand there. And unfortunately, with the way that iRacing kind of handles sand and gravel, it more or less kind of treats it like glass instead of actual sand or gravel, things of that nature. It's a little silly at times, but hopefully in the future, things, those specific parts of iRacing will improve, and from what I understand, they will eventually. But that's not what we're here to talk about as we get ourselves ready. As we get ourselves ready for our starting lineup. Up in the front row, we have Beaver, Black Bob in the front row. Squilliam and DC going to be in the second row, with Gareth McAllister and Eat My Dust in the third row. John Downey, Biker Pilot, in our fourth row. Lamp and AJ going to be in the fifth row. Paper Bag and Book taking up our sixth row. Moving on down just a little bit further, Nicolator, James McKinney in our seventh row. Prince Adam, Garlic Dog taking up the eighth row. And 976 in Long Island Nerd taking up our final eighth row here today. So drivers now gearing up for the first portion of today's race, the 20-minute sprint that we will have here in the lights. Click away and out we go. Beaver gets a very good jump on the rest of the field. Squilliam, Black Bob, and oh, we've already got trouble towards the back of the field. It's Eat My Dust who's got troubles here. The 24 machine, oh boy, that you can't park there, buddy. Beaver continuing to lead the field, but Squilliam getting right up to the rear end of that number 10 machine, doing a phenomenal job of keeping himself right in the mix of the battle and trying to keep the pressure on the number 10 driver. AJ having trouble here. More drivers as well also finding themselves in a little bit of trouble as they continue on with the first lap here at Sonoma for the first segment of tonight's race. And seeing a little bit of separation here towards the midfield. It's back up towards the front where the action is really starting to heat up as we ride on board with Squilliam, getting a good look to the inside of Beaver. Not quite able to make it work this time by, but he is right on the tail, about a quarter of a second behind, as we have Gareth McAllister now having trouble. The number 35 machine going to try and get that car back onto the track, and he successfully does so, and hopefully without any major damage. Looking back up to the front of the field, Black Bob starts to close in on the top three as he tries to close the distance between himself and Beaver and trying to get himself into the mix of this battle, or essentially just trying to keep himself up with the pack here. More and more drivers finding themselves out in the sand, and unfortunately having to kind of get themselves going in the right direction, as we just saw AJ and here 976 Both of these drivers trying to get themselves sorted out here. But Squilliam, our race leader, able to take away the lead and is off to an incredible start here. And I actually got to go back and see how this pass was made because we missed it on broadcast. But a great move, a dive to the inside, not necessarily a dive, but a great cut to the inside of Beaver, and that gives Squilliam the opportunity to take the lead out of the second to last turn. Oh man, what a good move by Squilliam. The door was left wide open by Beaver. Squilliam saw the opportunity and he took it. Fantastic work from the number 6 driver. Beaver now going to try and respond to that and see what he can possibly do here. Biker Pilot having, oh boy. That car is looking mighty squirrely as he gets off into the gravel, sand, dirt looking, I don't even know. But already lap 3 of 20 here, and we're seeing the field get a little bit of distance between themselves as we click off laps relatively quickly here, about a minute and a half. Minute 24, well, I would say an average is probably closer to about, I'd say a minute 27, we'll call it. But either way, that's not important. What is important is that these drivers stay focused and that they keep themselves on their A game. As I mentioned, as I've alluded to various times throughout this broadcast, this is going to be one of probably, in my personal opinion, one of the toughest races on the schedule by far. Frankly, I need to go back and look at all the yeah, okay, looking at the schedule a little bit further here, yeah, I would say this is definitely, as far as the sprint series is concerned, again, next race, the final race of the series, we will see Mount Panorama, aka Bathurst, as the final track. So, I mean, I would say it's a toss-up between Sonoma and Bathurst, what would be the tougher track, and maybe that's a question that we'll have for the drivers later, but wow. An absolutely incredible test of every driver's abilities here today. I mean, you're testing every single bit of racing talent that everyone has here. Squilliam finding himself a little bit off track through the final turn, or it looks like the final turn, or coming up to the final turns. Because I'm still a little bit rusty on my turn numbers from Sonoma. It has definitely been some time here. Beaver and Squilliam continuing to duke it out here for the lead, and I'm sure we're going to see them be in this position for quite some time, at least until the checkered flag is waved here for the first part of our race here. But Squilliam doing a phenomenal job of keeping himself right on the tail of that number 10 machine. A paper bag, the 420 that we're watching now, finding himself getting off track here. And ultimately, we're looking to see if anyone's going to have any major sort of collisions here or anything of that nature. So far, it seems like most drivers have been relatively okay. Although that could be, oh boy, right as I say that, paper bag and both Prince Adam find themselves getting into an off-track incident here. Oh, whoa. Looking at the instant replay here. Oh, no. So for those of you that didn't catch it, paper bag, the 420 purple machine that you see there, just getting into the sand, cuts across the track and right into the side of the number 13 of Prince Adam. A very, very unfortunate situation here for the number 13 driver, as that is, I mean, going to give him damage to that machine regardless, and also going to hurt him, hurt his race pace as well. Doesn't seem to be too much visual damage to the car, but that is, he's opting not to go into pit road here as well, which is, could be an indication that none of the critical parts of the car were damaged enough to warrant him to want to come down into pit road. He's currently sitting in 8th place, so I'm certain that he probably also doesn't want to lose that position here as well. A little bit of strategy, well, not necessarily strategy, but I think maybe just kind of biting the bullet on that one and just taking it for what it is and just trying to compete regardless of the situation. Lap 6 of 20, and Squilliam Beaver continue to battle it out here for the lead, and they are honestly putting on a fantastic battle here. Let's ride on board the rear wing. Oh gosh, you know, I love this league, okay, because there's just always little hidden gems that you find on their cars, and this one right here on the back of Beaver's car, it's a special one because I know you can't see it on the other side right now, but I recall what it says on the other side, and I am just, oh my, okay. Anyway, as we still have a great view of Squilliam getting right on the tail of that number 10 machine and getting very close here as well, showing he is not done with this battle yet, and honestly probably wants to be in the front. He wants to come away with a win here. With as much as he's fighting for it, I would almost say without a doubt that he is not going to be giving up on the pressure here for Beaver. Oh boy, as they head back into turn 11. The sharp right-hander, the same move that he made before to get in the lead, and Beaver loses it. He gets spun out. Oh, wow. Beaver is not going to enjoy that one. He is going to be frustrated, I'm more than certain, after that mistake. Now Squilliam is got nothing but clean air ahead of him. Now Beaver has DC to worry about as they continue to try and keep this race going for themselves. We're watching the battle between DC and Beaver, as Beaver's starting to get a little bit of distance separated between himself and DC, but timing and scoring showing us that DC definitely has the pace to be able to keep up with Beaver here, and maybe even supersede that if he is able to hit these marks the way that he wants to. But DC is currently holding on to that 4th place position, as we were about to tune into a battle between Prince Adam and 976, but looks like 976 still finding himself not in a very particularly great spot on track, as again, various drivers, a lot of drivers here today are fighting this track, trying to keep themselves going in the right direction. And as I've mentioned numerous times already throughout this broadcast, this is a tough track. And believe it or not, for those of you that might not know, the NASCAR Cup Series actually races at this track with the Cup cars, and I've tried to do it, not on this track particularly, but I've tried to race those, whether it was an ARCA or a Cup car, I tried to take one on a road course, and man, that is not easy. Whoa, Nicolator having a huge moment here. Let's take a look at the replay here and see what happened as he just flipped through the air like a coin. I mean, what in the world? Let's take a look here in slow motion as, boom, a huge impact to the front end of that number 5 machine, and it just sends him flipping backwards a good, what looks like 50, 70 feet, anywhere between that mark. I mean, it's kind of hard to say in a virtual setting, but needless to say, a massive impact here for Nicolator, and he is currently parked down on the bottom of the track and probably rethinking life decisions at this moment, trying to figure out where he went wrong in life. But man, that is a tough break here for the number 5 driver, Nicolator. And I love that Nicolator is just hanging out here. You know, not really. Okay, there we go. So now that we're halfway through our first segment of tonight's race, Squilliam is your race leader with Black Bob in second, Beaver taking up third, DC in fourth, and John, a.k.a. Brosidon, in fifth at the moment to round out our top 5. And drivers having quite a bit of room to work with between one another. They have well, most drivers have plenty of clean air around them that they don't necessarily need to worry too much about other drivers right now, unless you're Black Bob, who currently has Beaver starting to track him down here a little bit, and Beaver is definitely on a manhunt as he is looking to get back up to Squilliam. Will he be able to pull it off before the checkered flag? I don't think so. It's not likely. There's 9 laps left to go, and there's nearly 6 seconds separating Squilliam from Black Bob at the moment. So it's going to be a tough break here for Beaver, having made that mistake a few laps ago out of turn 11 as Squilliam and Beaver were battling it out there. But Beaver ultimately making a great recovery and pushing his way back up here into the top 3 and looking to potentially get himself up into second, which I think, all things considered, is probably going to be a better result here for Beaver, given the circumstances. So I don't think he will be too dissatisfied with that finish, but it will definitely be a tough break nonetheless. Oh boy, through turn 11, Black Bob getting a little loose there on the exit, and Beaver having to tap on the brakes a little bit and able to capitalize on that mistake that the 666 machine made and pushes his way up into second place. Meanwhile, we've got a couple other battles starting to slowly develop here with 8 laps left to go here in our sprint race. That really doesn't make any sense to say the sprint race for the sprint series. That is a weird combination of words. Anyway, Gareth McAllister, Biker Pilot, they're starting to go at it here for the 8th place position out of turn 11. Gareth McAllister, a very, very good exit, and he's going to be right on the tail of the number 42 machine as they come across the line, heading back into the uphill turn 1. The uphill left-hander of turn 1, I was trying to say, but only managed to say part of it for some odd, strange reason. Gareth McAllister finding the very edge of the track limits here as he feels the rear end start to get away from him, but able to recover it and keep himself going pointed in the right direction. As we tune back over to Lamp and AJ, their battle for 6th place here, in AJ, the 45 machine, after getting into contact with Paper Bag a few laps ago, also kind of trying to find himself in a bit of a recovery phase, if you will. Maybe not so much so in the sense that he fell down a bunch of positions or anything like that, but I would have to imagine some damage was done to that 45 machine in the process of that contact being made with Paper Bag, and may have had some impact on the overall race pace of the 45 machine. But it seems like right now, AJ, he's doing a phenomenal job of keeping himself up in the mix of things. And Gareth McAllister, Biker Pilot, they're both duking it out here into turn 11. Gareth McAllister with the inside line advantage. Biker Pilot going to have nothing to do but just try and get the exit speed and try and keep up with the 35. Don't let him get too far away into the horizon. Meanwhile, AJ Lamp, side by side of the 45 driver, trying to get some more positions out of this race with only 7 laps left to go. And Mr. Trollman, aka Nicolator, down in the chat letting us know that his VR crashed. That is a big oof. Yeah, that is a big oof, my friend. You know, as awesome as VR racing is, I think I would lose my mind if I was in the middle of a race and my headset just randomly decided it didn't want to do the only thing that it has to do anymore. And yeah, I think I would just want to go to bed at that point. But AJ and Lamb both continue the battle here for 6th place, but AJ having overtaken the 39 driver, and Lamb trying to respond as best as he can and see what he can potentially pull off here. And excuse me, folks, as hearing bumps in the night. Only kidding, but Black Bob DC continuing their battle here for 3rd place, or at least starting to develop the battle for 3rd, and with 5 laps left to go, there is a very good chance that we could see DC make a fight for that 3rd place position and look for a podium finish here in tonight's first half, or first third of the race tonight, if you will. Anyway. And both AJ and Lamp going off track at the same exact time, and both just gonna follow each other through it, and man, oh man, I don't think that could have worked out any better for these two drivers, but the fact that they both followed the same exact path off track is just hysterical. That is awesome. As per usual, I'm always oh boy. Oh boy, Lamp. Oh no. Oh man, this Lamp, I'm sorry I'm gonna say this, but that just popped up into my brain. The moment that you hit that barrier, the Pixar Lamp, when it smashes down the eye and then it looks at the camera, that's kind of what I imagined your reaction was to that incident there. That was funny. I'm sorry. I had to get that out there. That just popped in my brain, and it was funnier in my head, is what I'm trying to say. But the checkered flag is out here. As usual, it seems like I always forget that we don't go by the laps here. We go by the time limit, which is 20 minutes instead of the laps. 20 laps is the max that we could potentially go to, but 20 minutes is the actual race length here, and now that we've surpassed that, it's Squilliam who has taken away the win for our first race of the night, and Beaver in second, Black Bob coming away in third, DC in fourth, and Brosidon coming away in that fifth place position. So now drivers going to have a short bit of time here to get themselves ready to go for the feature race here tonight. And the man that we're going to have a quick word with is our race winner here for the sprint race, Mr. Squilliam, coming away with a fantastic win and a very, Squill, I don't like using this word too often. Maybe I use it a little bit too much, but it was very lucky that when you and Beaver were duking it out, coming out of turn 11, you were on the inside, he was on the outside, and right as you guys made the exit, he got loose. That rear end just lit up on him. He wasn't able to keep it in line, and you were just in clean air from that point on. I mean, once you realized that you didn't have any competition around you, what kind of ran through your head?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of got into conserve mode and made sure I didn't do anything stupid. No need to throw away at that point what was then an easy win, but it definitely was not the case in those first couple laps. That was crazy, and big respect to Beaver for some good close racing there. That was awesome.
Yeah, it really was. And now that we're gearing up for the feature race here tonight, 40 minutes of total on-track time that we're expecting to see here, and kind of getting a good preview of what both your pace and what Beaver's pace has kind of looked like here. And even also we were seeing kind of a little bit of great pace coming out of Black Bob as well as DC. A few other drivers out there that were doing quite well, but kind of looking at the feature race here, what's kind of your expectations? I mean, this is a tough track, and I'll save the last question I have for later, but if we end up talking to each other again. But with how difficult this track is, and with how many drivers we've seen getting off track, I mean, what's kind of your expectations here going into the feature?
Yeah, this car just requires so much downforce to be quick, and this is just another one of those tracks where the dirty air is really awful, especially when it's like 100-degree track temperature and all that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping to just hopefully, if I can't get Beaver in the first lap or two, then just sit behind him and I've in the past been successful with staying with him through some traffic and stuff like that, just following through some moves that he makes on the slower guys in front. So just going to be patient with it. It's a long race. You never know what can happen, and I think saving tires a little bit is going to be a little bit important with the track temperature and in the dirty air, like I said.
Yeah, it's definitely a hot track surface that I kind of talked about a little bit at the beginning of the broadcast, but we haven't really touched too much on it. And it definitely seemed like as the race went on, it definitely looked like it was a little bit more. It was getting increasingly more difficult to get grip on these cars. But I'm going to go ahead and let you get to warm up here, Squill, and hopefully get to talk to you again before we end off tonight. But I want to give you this chance to do any quick shout-outs and thank yous before you head back out on track.
You know what, man? Shout out to you for putting up with us all season and coming up with great questions. I'm sure gonna be watching the broadcast tomorrow, like I always do in my opening hours of work. So shout out to you and to James as well for having an awesome broadcast season with us so far. And I'm excited to see you guys in these last couple races.
Well, Squilliam, I certainly look forward to being here for the last few races, and hopefully for next season. I know there was a little talk about that, but we won't get into that right now. But I appreciate the kind words, Squilliam, and I certainly look forward to seeing you back out on track and hopefully get to talk to you again before tonight's over.
Of course, man. I hope so too.
Absolutely. You have a good one.
You too.
All right, so that was Mr. Squilliam coming away with the win for today's sprint race of tonight's race here. Gosh, that still bugs me. Anyway, Beaver, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your second place finish here. Unfortunately, probably didn't work out the way that you wanted it to. I already talked a little bit about it with Squilliam, but I mean, you probably know the exact moment I'm going to talk about here, but coming out of turn 11, I mean, you and Squill were going at it for so long. I mean, what happened there that ultimately led to you kind of spinning out there right out of turn 11?
Yeah, I guess a lack of practice and running out of talent for sure. I like to take that hairpin in second gear, and I did. But I guess running on the outside, that's not something you practice. So yeah, I guess I got to the throttle too hard, and I knew I was looping it, and I let off the throttle, and it still went around on me. It was totally unsavable. So that is a bummer, but I didn't stall it. Usually I stall it when I spin, and so I didn't have to waste time restarting. So that was a bonus. I think that helped get back into second. But yeah, Squilliam put on a clinic tonight. I think he's got amazing pace. I couldn't run away from him, even if I tried, when I had the lead there for a little bit. So yeah, didn't go my way, but a second place is still okay.
Hey, a podium's a podium. I would take that any day. But kind of looking into the future, I mean, you already mentioned it. Squilliam's definitely putting on a very great race for himself here today. I mean, both you and Squill had phenomenal pace here in the sprint race here today. So, I mean, what's kind of I'm sure it's probably going to be more or less the same as what Squilliam kind of mentioned to me. Just kind of keep your head down, stay consistent. But you're also going to be starting, I believe, what would it be? Seventh. That's what it is. I was going to say eighth there for a second, but you're going to be starting seventh. You're going to have to work your way through a little bit of traffic in order to get back to the front. And knowing how difficult this track is, I mean, what's kind of your expectations here, opening laps of the feature?
Yeah. So things to consider, I suppose, is patience for sure. Also, there aren't very many passing. There are passing zones. It's just very difficult to complete a pass. I think the couple passes I had in that last race were all mistakes by the people in front of me. So getting a proper pass is hard. Being in dirty air, these S's on the back half of the track are very downforce dependent. So being stuck behind someone for too long is really gonna use up those front tires. And I was seeing a little bit of that just in the short sprint race there. So I think tire management might also be a key, something to look forward to or look out for. And it's track's 100 degrees, so it's not too hot, but hot enough that things are going to be uncomfortable. Tires are going to go away. So all of those things to consider going into this next race.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of things that drivers have to be aware of, and I was definitely talking a lot about it during the beginning of the broadcast and just how difficult this track is. But Beaver, I'm going to go ahead and let you utilize what time we have left here in our warm-up. It doesn't look like anyone's actually utilizing it, but I'm going to go ahead and let you get yourself back in race mode. And before you head out, though, any shout-outs, any thank yous that you want to give before you get back out on the track?
Yeah, big shout-out to my pal Nate, also known as McMurk. He runs J2I, just not running tonight, so he's watching the stream. Yeah, hi, Nate. That's all. All right.
Well, Beaver, thank you for joining me up here in the booth, and hopefully get to talk to you again before the night's over, and good luck to you out there, and always remember, don't bin it.
All right, I'll do my best. Thank you very much.
You have a good one, Beaver.
You too. Bye.
Alrighty, folks, so that was Beaver out of the booth, coming away with second place here in our sprint race as we get ourselves ready to go for our feature race as, qualifying warm-up. Our warm-up session here for our drivers is going to come to an end in just about a minute. And from there, drivers are going to get back onto the starting row where we will see the green flag drop for our 40-minute feature here tonight at Sonoma for race number 7 of the J2I Sprint Series. And folks, if you want to be a part of the Just Two Idiots Cup Series, if you want to race either in the Sprint Series with the Radical SR8s or in the Endurance Series, which features the LMDH as well as the GT3 class with various GT3 cars. The LMDH only featuring one car at the moment, which, I mean, is fine. Anyway, point being, if you want to be a part of the series, head on over to the J2Y website. It is J2ICS.com. Again, that is J2ICS.com. You can find all the information that you need there. You can find the link to their Discord and all of the goodies that you need to get yourself ready for race day here with J2Y. And if you also want to support J2Y, if you're a fan of what they do here, or if you're a driver, family member, whatever the case might be, if you want to support them as well as us here at Team Goon Squad, you can head on over to our website, teamgoonsquad.com, and pick up some merchandise. You can find a Just Two Idiots Cup Series merchandise on our website, and anything that you pick up that is J2Y related, 50% of the profit goes directly back to the league to help them continue their racing efforts. Now, let's go ahead and run through our starting grid for today's feature race. Up in the front row, we have Gareth McAllister and Lamp, AJ and John Brosidon Downey in second row, DC and Black Bob in the third row, Beaver and Squilliam taking up our fourth row, Biker Pilot and Book taking up the fifth row, Prince Adam Paper Bag in our sixth row. Moving on down the lineup, 976 Eat My Dust in the seventh row, James McKinney and Nicolator. James McKinney is actually, oh boy, J.R. McKinn. Anyway, Garlic Dog and Long Island Nerd in the final lineup here. As the lights go out, and away we go. Gareth McAllister, the 35 machine, getting a very, very good start to his race here. Lamp, AJ just behind him in a good chunk of the field, all fighting for room on the track here as they come out of the first few turns, and already a very good start here for this field. Up the blind right-hander, and Gareth McAllister still holding on to the lead and doing a great job. Going to see if any drivers make any mistakes here. And so far, so good. These drivers doing an incredible job on this start here. Biker Pilot, the 42 machine, going to be the first one, along with 976 behind, that are going to see the first errors here in the opening lap of the feature race. And Gareth McAllister doing a phenomenal job staying out ahead of the field, trying to build up some distance between himself and the rest of the pack. And Beaver already up 4 positions from where he started, sneaking his way through and up into third already. Beaver doing an absolutely great job here as Prince Adam, the 13 driver, finds himself off track here. Not an ideal situation. Heading into turn 11, Beaver gets the inside of the number 45. Well, AJ and Lamp, he gets a 2-for-1 combo. And up into second place, Beaver now on the hunt of Gareth McAllister, the 35 driver. After all of these drivers behind him were fighting for position, he was also able to build up a little bit of distance, but 3-wide action here, side by side, banging wheels between one another. It's Squilliam and Lamp, I believe, who were the 2 drivers that made contact, but only just a little bit and not enough to unsettle the other drivers. So no harm, no foul, but definitely pushing the limits here. As Beaver now going to be hot on the heels of Gareth McAllister, we ride on board with the number 10 driver for just a moment as more battles happen around the track. And Squilliam showing as going off track here for just a moment, but for quite literally just a moment. But had to check nonetheless, because you never know when things can go wrong here at Sonoma. It can just happen in the blink of an eye. believe Squilliam there getting a bit of a lockup as he tries to slow down, avoiding the driver ahead of him. As we check in here with teammates Poseidon and Black Bob, they are neck and neck with one another for the 7th place position, and Poseidon looking like he might want to get around his teammate here. Perhaps they're going to be working in unison. I'm not entirely certain what their game plan is at the moment, but Gareth McAllister gotta give props here to the 35 driver. I've spoke with Gareth outside of the races, outside of the broadcast, and Gareth has definitely been doing his darndest to keep himself up here in top 3s or even top 5s for that matter. Always trying to do his best to come away with a podium or something of that nature. And oh boy, Beaver finds the opportunity to get around Gareth McAllister in a very precarious area of the track as well. Going side by side along the 35 machine and able to make the pass happen. As they head into turn 11, AJ and Squilliam duking it out just behind him. Oh boy, Squilliam trying to find an open spot here, not able to do so. AJ gonna stay, AJ gonna stay right ahead of that number 6 machine, but only just, as they only have about a 1/10 of a second separating them at this moment. Gareth McAllister now starting to fall back a little bit from Beaver. Side-by-side action between Squilliam and AJ continues to develop here. Whoa! AJ trying to make a little switcheroo happen, goes to the inside. Might have it here if he can keep the pace up, and AJ gonna move back up into the 3rd position, and Squilliam now gonna have to bring the fight back here. He's still got the line advantage here as he's on the inside. Almost clipping bumpers here between the two, but AJ stays to the inside of the number 6 machine. Great battle between these two drivers here at Sonoma for race number 7 of the J2I Cup Series. Lamp also starting to get himself into the mix of this battle here, as well as Squilliam and AJ. They have definitely slowed one another up by, going side by side along with one another and continuing to fight for this position. DC, Black Bob also starting to get up here into the mix of things. Lap 5 of 40, and we're still seeing drivers within a half a second of one another. And more than just a couple, a good handful of drivers, that is just incredible to see here. It seems as though drivers taking notes from the sprint race and carrying it over here into the feature. And it definitely seems to be paying off, as now we have DC and Lamp side by side. Lamp to the outside. He's able to get ahead here. Taking a ride on board here with DC, the number 3 driver. Oh, through turn 11, sends it a little too hot, a little too deep into turn 11, almost colliding with Lamp in the process, but very lucky, and he was able to bring that car, or slow that car down enough to avoid it, and I do believe I saw the tires lock up as well. So DC definitely trying to push the limits here in that number 3 machine, as he's very careful not to overshoot the blind turn there, or the blind apex, I should say. Gareth McAllister, the second place driver in the 35 machine, under fire from Squilliam, as Squilliam starts to bring the heat here, trying to close the distance to Beaver as best as he can. Now, at this point, you know, at this point in the race, you really, as both Squilliam and Beaver mentioned in their interviews for the sprint race, consistency, keeping your head down and just trying to click off laps is going to be the key part. And as Beaver mentioned, passing here is also not that easy. So always have to keep your eyes open and always have to kind of be aware of your surroundings on this track, because it is very easy to get yourself off in the process of trying to overtake someone. But I think if anyone knows that, it's going to be Squilliam, as well as Gareth McAllister, as well as Beaver. Looking out the rear wing of the number 35 machine. Of Team Goon Squad's very own Gareth McAllister, our friendly Australian. Gareth doing a phenomenal job of keeping himself up here in the top three, and again having that opportunity to start at the front of the pack for the start of the feature. Given an opportunity here to really kind of show his talents and show that he's got the pace to be up here with the fast guys and be one of the ones to kind of compete for these top 3, top 5 positions. Oh boy, Squilliam getting a little too close to the rear of Gareth McAllister. A very good save here from Squilliam, but let's take a look here at some statistical data here and play with some numbers a little bit, even though numbers aren't always my favorite thing. But we can see just how fast or slow Mr. Squilliam is as compared to Gareth McAllister, and you can see on the bottom of your screen, Sector 1, at least last time by, Gareth was a little bit faster, but only by 1/100 of a second, almost 2 100ths. And Sector 2 and 3, Squilliam takes the pace there. Sector 4, you can also see here, Squilliam showing just a little bit faster here as well. But even as we're seeing this happen on, as we're seeing this on the bottom of our screens, we're also seeing in timing and scoring that Gareth McAllister is actually starting to slowly pull away from Squilliam. And there it is, Sector 5, Gareth able to pull away about 1/10 of a second, but again, it's going to be a lot of give and take around this track, as you know, drivers are going to be fighting various portions of this difficult track. And you know, Squilliam's still there. He's still lingering in the rear view mirror of Gareth, so he's got to be careful. He's definitely got to make sure that he's hitting his marks as best as he can and just stay consistent. That's really the best thing that you can do at this point, is just ignore your mirrors and just be consistent. But even as that battle develops between Gareth and Squilliam, we see this little pack here towards the midfield with Lamp, DC, Black Bob, and Eat My Dust, who have all managed to get themselves within about 1/2 second of one another. We'll continue to see if they're going to bring that gap a little bit closer to one another as they enter into turn 11 here. DC getting right on the bumper of the 39 machine of Lamp, and Black Bob Wallace gets loose on the exit of 11, gets spun around, but luckily spins back around in the right direction, and also looks like he managed to avoid stalling that 666 machine. So, I mean, take that for what it is, but definitely a sticky situation for Black Bob on the exit, but also precarious. Also, just to point out as well, it looked like that was the same area, the same section of that turn where Beaver also found himself spun around during the sprint race, as DC finds a cooler part of the track and it's going to light up the rear tires. He's not able to put the grip down, and away she goes into the sand, luckily able to bring it to a stop before colliding with the wall. And as we missed it on our cameras, Squilliam making the pass here around Gareth McAllister up into second place. And for Gareth, I mean, I'm sure you probably wasn't expecting to hold on to that second place position. I'm sure Gareth is very well aware of the pace that Squilliam has, and probably isn't going to be in the mindset of trying to impede on that, or trying to make his day difficult, I guess is the best way to kind of describe it. So Gareth taking that third place position, and he's going to hold on to it for realistically quite a while, as right now his next competitor is going to be AJ, who's about 3.5 seconds behind him, and is also showing that AJ is just a little bit slower pace-wise to Gareth at this moment. Now that could change once pit cycles start to come into play here, which I would have to imagine they're going to come into play here very shortly, given that we're almost to the halfway point in tonight's race, in tonight's feature race, I should say. Checking back in with the teammates of Brosidon and Black Bob, as they currently hold on to the 7th and 8th place positions. Both of these drivers realistically kind of look like they're just clicking off laps here and not really trying to compete with one another, so to speak. They're I more or less just trying to stay consistent, trying to click these laps off, and trying to come away with the best finish that they can, while also getting themselves ready for the first pit stops of tonight's race, which, again, I would have to imagine as we're approaching the halfway mark in this race here, I would have to imagine that's going to be very shortly. As we talked a little bit about it during post-race not post-race interviews, but the interviews that we had with Squilliam and Beaver, tires being kind of a topic of discussion for a moment with Beaver, as this track is very hot. We can actually take a look at that again on the right-hand side of our screens. You can see that since the beginning of the broadcast, things have gotten a little bit warmer out there. 75 degrees is the ambient temperature, about a 3-degree difference from where we started, and then the track temperature seeing about 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Definitely a very, very hot track out there, and it's going to obviously pose challenges for every single driver out here. But I gotta say, everyone has been doing a phenomenal job of really kind of improving upon the sprint race where we were seeing a lot of incidents happening, a lot of off tracks being made, and here in the feature, it seems like things have turned around. Drivers have taken a few notes, and they have done well to improve upon it here in the feature. Definitely at the start of the race where we saw a very, very good start here, and we can actually go back and look at that here one more time for just a moment as here it is. As the green flag drops, you can see some drivers looking to go 3 wide there for a moment, but we'll watch as they go through the first handful of turns. And they realistically speaking, this is probably the area of the track where most of the mistakes are going to be made. And opening lap, with everyone side by side with one another, they all did a phenomenal job of staying with each other and not making too many mistakes here in the opening lap of today's feature race. But while we were taking a look at the replay of the race start here, Lamp, DC, and Black Bob have all made their way down into pit road here. So that is indicating to us that pit stops are going to happen very soon for our leaders as well as the rest of the field. As Eat My Dust here in 11th starts to get a little bit of pressure from Lamp. And as I say that, Beaver comes down into pit road. Oh, Nicolator. Oh boy, no, that wasn't Nicolator. As Beaver and AJ make their way down into the pit, Squilliam, he's going to take that opportunity to take the lead here and take another lap around before deciding to come down into pit road. I would imagine he's going to come in next time around. And just as a bit of a reminder, or just as a bit of info for those of you that might not know, these drivers are only allocated 50% of their fuel allotment here. They can only have a half-full tank is essentially the easiest way to describe it for these races. So it enforces a pit stop here for these drivers. So whether or not they could make it all the way to the end on a single set of tires, I'm pretty sure they probably could. But fuel is going to be of a concern, and they will need to come down into the pits in order to get fuel to finish out the race here. Squilliam, though, he's going to take it another lap around. He's not going to come down into pit road this time by. He's going to continue on here in the lead, try and build up a little bit more distance as much as he can, as right now it looks like pit lap times are looking to be about 52 seconds on the high side. So if all things go well here for Squilliam, he can come back out onto the track and still be near that second, third place position, somewhere in that neighborhood. But with Beaver already having come down into the pits, I, almost without a doubt, can say that Beaver will retake that lead position and will most likely have quite a bit of room around him to work with once things are all said and done here. And the only thing at that point for Beaver to do is to do what he has been doing all race long already, which is click off clean, consistent laps. Beaver making the move on Nicolator here, as he's trying to work his way back up to the front of the field, as we're still waiting for a fair chunk of the field to also make their pit stops here as well. Squilliam, Gareth McAllister, Brosidon, Paper Bag, Nicolator, Book, and Garlic Dog all still need to come down into pit road before tonight's race, or, well, soon, before they run out of fuel. And Paper Bag staying right on the heels of Beaver, at least as much as he can, trying to keep with the number 10 machine, as Nicolator also starts to close in the distance between himself and the 420 machine. And here we see Black Bob and Lamp having a bit of a battle for the 10th place position. Black Bob able to get a run on the outside of the number 39 machine, and he makes the pass up into 10th place. Squilliam, meanwhile, coming down into pit road, making the decision to grab fuel and grab tires while he still can. Gareth McAllister, however, he is opting to stay out another lap, and he's going to probably come down next time by, I would have to imagine. And in doing so, he is going to take the lead for the time being. Paper Bag and Nicolator, they have just about a half a second between them, and they still both need to come down into pit road here as well. And speaking of which, Gareth McAllister, right as we were expecting these drivers to want to come down into the pits, they are opting to stay out just a little bit longer, trying to get as much fuel out of these cars as they can before they absolutely need to come down into the pits. And frankly, you know, for Gareth and for these drivers that are opting to stay out here a little bit longer, it could also be that they want to have as much fresh tire underneath them as they can to finish out the race here. And, I mean, with Gareth kind of pushing the limits here of the number 35 machine and really kind of seeing what sort of stint he can run here, I mean, if Gareth can keep the confidence that he has now, once he gets on a fresh set of rubber, I mean, he is looking like he's going to be in a good shape here for at least a podium. I mean, it's kind of hard to say right now. Again, I do believe Beaver will be the driver to retake the lead once both Gareth McAllister and Brosidon come down into the pits. Squilliam does appear that he will retain that second place position, so really it all comes down to Gareth here and what his pit stop is going to look like here and how that's going to kind of shape up where he's going to come out. And here he goes. Pit stop time here for the number 35 driver, and almost staying out the longest of any other driver out here on track, but right now that potentially is going to go to Paper Bag. And we'll see if he's going to opt to stay out another. Nope, he's not. He's going to come in as well. So Gareth McAllister, Brosidon, and Paper Bag all staying out the longest of any driver out here on track and really utilizing as much fuel and tire as they can here. Gareth McAllister just now making that pit stop. He's already in the stall and down into third at the moment. We'll see if he's going to lose any further positions once he makes his way out of the pits. But here he goes, already out AJ making the pass on by up into fourth. Or up into third, excuse me. So unfortunately for Gareth, that opportunity for a podium finish might not be might not be as possible as he was hoping for. Poseidon and Lamp, they continue this fight here for the 7th place position. You can see Lamp right now, the 39 driver we're riding on board with, as he is just under a quarter of a second behind Poseidon in that number 99 machine. Putting the pressure on into turn 11, and Lamp on the inside, able to make the pass here for 7th place. But Poseidon still there, lurking on the inside as they come across the line, heading into turn 1. Poseidon not going to make it an easy day here for Lamp as they continue the fight here for 7th place. Almost interlocking bumpers there. There only must have been centimeters separating these two. Oh boy, Lamp feeling a little bit of a snap there as he tries to slow that car down, and unfortunately going to now be a second behind the number 99 driver of Poseidon. Gonna look to try and close that gap here as we enter into the final 10 minutes of our feature race here tonight. Beaver, our current race leader. Squilliam in second. AJ in third. Gareth McAllister, 4th place. And Eat My Dust in 5th to round out our top 5 here at the moment. AJ finding himself a little bit off track there for a moment, and at this point in the race, that is the exact thing that you want to try and avoid with under 9 minutes left to go, and Gareth McAllister being now under 3 seconds behind that number 45 machine. And Gareth, according to timing and scoring, showing he has got the pace to be able to catch up to AJ. Will he be able to put up a fight here and get himself back up into the top 3 with under 7 minutes left to go? That is the question to be had. And if AJ continues, or if, well, I shouldn't say continues, if AJ has another mistake like that, even just dipping the tires into the sand, slowing you down just a little bit, that's going to be enough to have that driver behind you close that gap and really start to put the pressure on you, as Gareth is doing a phenomenal job of starting to now crack his way to sub 2 seconds of AJ. Squilliam showing he's got an off-track incident here as well in the number 6 machine, able to recover from it very quickly. But a close call here for Squilliam, and as we're speaking of mistakes, as we get closer to the checkered flag, it seems to be that is where tensions are starting to show themselves, as AJ again finding himself a little off track there. Doesn't seem like it affected him too much this time around. Six minutes left to go, and at this point there is clean air between every single driver on this track, and they're all going to be looking at just being consistent, staying clean, and trying to finish out today's race. As again, there's not much time left, and the last thing you want to do at this point is put yourself out of the race. So with Beaver looking to secure a win here today, that will solidify his lead in the championship for the Sprint Series, with Squilliam still sitting in that second place position, but I would only have to imagine still just barely behind Beaver for that lead. So with only one race left to go in the next 2 weeks at Bathurst, a lot is going to be on the line here, I think, for Beaver if things don't go well at Bathurst. But also the same could be said as well for Squilliam. So saving the two most difficult tracks for last on the schedule, I gotta love it. That's the best way to do it. Gareth McAllister is still lingering behind the 45 of AJ, and still showing from timing and scoring that he has the pace to catch up to AJ. And as he is just barely about to crack his way to under a second between himself and that 45 machine, I think Gareth is definitely on the hunt here for a podium here today, and that might just be the opportunity he was looking for as AJ goes off track into the grass. Then that's going to open up the door for the 35 driver, Gareth McAllister, now going to be right on the heels of the number 45 machine here with only 3 minutes left to go in the feature race. Garrett's going to try to look to the inside, and it's not going to quite work out this time around, but he's going to continue to put the pressure on. Into turn 11, this is the point in the track where you can make up quite a bit of time here, and Gareth able to do so. He's now within a quarter of a second of that number 45 machine. They come across the line heading back into turn 1. Gareth on the hunt for a win here, or at least a podium, I should say, not a win. But for Gareth, I'm sure a podium would be a win in his eyes here with the J2I Cup Series. And I'm more than certain that AJ is definitely feeling that pressure behind him. Now going to be a minute left here before we see the checkered flag wave here at Sonoma for race number 7 of the J2I Sprint Series. There it is, the white flag being waved by the flagman. And this is going to be the last opportunity for Gareth McAllister to try and capitalize on this battle here. Staying right on the heels of AJ. AJ trying to do all that he can. Looking out the rear view of the 45 of AJ as we enter into the final few turns here at Sonoma. McAllister right on the rear wing of that 45 machine. This is the final stretch here, so to speak, as Beaver comes across the line. He takes the win here at Sonoma. Squilliam in second. And who will take home third as we come into turn 11? Gareth McAllister looks to the inside. He's going to try and take it as we go into turn 11. AJ gets tapped by the rear, and Gareth McAllister, a very, very sportsmanlike thing to do. Gareth McAllister giving up the position and giving it back to AJ. Oh, man, and Gareth, I'm more than certain, did not intend to make contact there with AJ into turn 11, but wow, was that a close battle for the podium finish. For third place, Gareth McAllister giving it a valiant effort. AJ ultimately gonna come away with that finish, as Gareth, I'm sure, feeling bad about making that contact and not wanting to just come away with a podium. And AJ's gonna celebrate it. So that will be our race here done and dusted here at Sonoma. Beaver coming away with the win, and Squilliam in second, and AJ in third, as we take a look at our post-race results and get ourselves ready for post-race interviews. And the first driver that we are going to have up here in the booth today will be Mr. AJ.
You have to really use your D6P or...
Welcome, AJ.
Oh, hello.
Welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your podium finish here today. I didn't mean to spook you, but welcome again. And I mean, really huge congratulations on this finish. I mean, I know right there at the end, out of turn 11, both you and Gareth, I mean, you guys were neck and neck with one another, both putting on an incredible fight here to finish out the race. And going into turn 11, I mean, you both were right side by side with one another, and ultimately getting into a bit of contact, but Gareth showing very great sportsmanship and giving you back that position after that contact being made. I mean, AJ, even if that contact wasn't made, I mean, how are you feeling about this end of the race? I mean, this was just absolutely incredible seeing the fight between you and Gareth.
That was an amazing race, the whole thing. I started up front and then just tried to keep up there, and I know even though I was doing my fastest laps, I couldn't keep up with the front runners, but then was able to undercut Gareth during the pit cycle, which really helped me out, and I just kept pushing from there and saw him, gaining time on me, and it was just those last few laps I was making little mistakes, and he was able to get right there with me, and I just had to do anything I could to keep him behind me, and it somehow managed to work it out, and it was an amazing race from everyone in the field.
Yeah, and kind of one of the things that I noticed is the start of this race, the start of the feature as compared to the sprint, it seemed night and day. I mean, it seemed like everyone just kind of, they really kind of took all the mistakes that they made from the sprint and learned from it and really made the start of this race really great. And even from the start of the race, it really didn't seem like there were too many major errors being made around the track. And fortunately for you, AJ, I mean, things kind of working out in your favor with pit stops and so on and so forth, and able to come away with the podium. With this being one of the, at least in my opinion, one of the most difficult circuits on the schedule as we head into our final race at Bathurst. I mean, both of these two tracks that I just mentioned, I mean, they could almost be considered the same level of difficulty if there was a scale. What's kind of your outlook going into Bathurst? I mean, they're both here at Sonoma, a challenging circuit in of itself, but Bathurst a whole other ballpark in of itself as well. So what's kind of your outlook for Bathurst?
Well, I personally love both the tracks. They're, very technical and challenging, and really challenge the drivers. And so I'm hoping Bathurst will go well, but it's definitely going to be a very tight, narrow track with not a lot of runoff, so mistakes are going to be massive there. We're really going to try to keep the mistakes down and keep the pace up.
Well, absolutely. AJ, it's always a pleasure to get a chance to talk to you as much as we can, and also great to see you up here on the podium, and really hope to get to see you up here more often. But AJ, before we end things off here, before I let you go and crack open a cold one with the boys, anyone you want to shout out and thank before you head out tonight?
Well, I got to go ahead and thank the fans for watching, making sure that we put on a good race for you. Beaver, Squilliam, Gareth, all the guys up front, and even throughout the field are just putting on an amazing show and making great battles for everyone. It's always nice to have that.
Absolutely. Well, AJ, it's nice to have you up here in the booth. It's great to get to chat with you, and hopefully we get to talk to you again in the future. And good luck to you going into Bathurst, and hopefully we get to see another podium for you there.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Absolutely. You have a good one.
You too.
Alrighty, folks. So that was AJ coming out of the booth with the third place position here tonight. Up next, we have Mr. Squilliam, like deja vu. We are back up here in the booth. Squilliam in a little bit of a different spot than what we talked to you last time, coming away in second in the feature. But this was definitely a tricky feature that we had here. I mean, the start of the race was absolutely phenomenal for everyone. Everyone having a relatively clean start, and I mean, for yourself, having to fight your way from 8th place all the way back up here to the front of the field. I mean, that's definitely nothing to shake your nose at. But being back, having to work your way through the field and all that, I know we kind of already encapsulated what it's like to drive here at Sonoma. But what was your perspective of trying to just work your way through this field and get up here into the second place position?
Yeah, I felt like I had a really solid start, and then Beaver lunged it on my inside into turn 1 because I got kind of held up, and he ended up getting past me there. So that was fun to try to avoid. And then I'll admit it was definitely a pretty frustrating race, getting stuck behind, going side by side with AJ for a little bit. Like the whole time my goal was to try to stay with Beaver, and I got stuck going side by side through a whole lap almost, I think, with AJ, and then got stuck behind Gareth for 5 or 6 laps. So definitely a little bit frustrating. I think I could have definitely, if I had stayed with Beaver, I think it would have been a dogfight to the end. But that's just how racing goes sometimes. You win some and you lose some. But I still walked away with a second place, so can't complain too much.
Yeah, and kind of looking at the point standings right now, and kind of looking at the last race that we have going into Bathurst. I'm gonna see if our point standings have updated here already. No, they have not. Anyway, there's only at least before updating points here, there was 49 points separating you and Beaver in the championship. I'm sure after tonight that'll change a little bit. What do you kind of hope to accomplish at Bathurst? I mean, I know it's kind of a long shot to say I'm just going to go away and win it, but, always kind of having it in the back of your mind that if you can manage to come away with a better finish than that of Beaver, there's a possibility that you could inch your way into that lead here in the final round at Bathurst. I mean, what's kind of your outlook there? Do you think it's a possibility, or are you just going to kind of play it by ear?
No, unfortunately, I don't think it's a possibility unless Beaver were to miss next race. Yeah, I think we hit the fifth race, and I'm just too far back in the points to do anything. My goal this season, I knew Beaver was going to be tough to beat. I didn't know if I was going to be able to beat him at all, to be honest. And my goal really all season has been to just beat him in a race. So I'm super proud of myself for doing that finally tonight in Heat 1. But since Barber, me and Adam have really just collectively been looking at the team points. We're really close to in the team points now. I mean, obviously drop weeks aren't factored into there, so it could shape up differently after drop weeks. But with the Airco being out tonight, and I think Airco's already missed a week, I think there's a strong chance we still get the team championship. In my opinion, Beaver's already got this. I think the points don't work out, so it's just going for the team championship at this point.
Well, even with that in mind, coming away with a team championship is definitely going to be a huge accomplishment for yourself and for Team Backmarker Motorsport. But Squilliam, we'll do this one more time here tonight as I'm failing to get words out of my mouth. Anyone you want to shout out, anyone you want to thank for your race here tonight, the floor is yours, my friend.
I just want to shout out everybody in J2I, to be honest. This has been a super, super fun season. I know we've still got one more race, but I think everybody is really looking forward to Bathurst as well. And there's been some ups and downs, obviously, but tonight especially, I think, was a lot of really good, clean racing. For the most part, there's obviously some hiccups here and there every race, but had some really, really close fighting with AJ, sticking my nose in there, and he gave a lot of respect. Same with Gareth, trying to get past him, and even Beaver. Props to everybody for all the hard but really respectful racing. It's been a really fun season, and I've thoroughly enjoyed this car, and I think a lot of other people have too.
Absolutely, yeah, I would certainly agree. I know that when I first started broadcasting with you guys, it was a refreshing thing to see the Radicals being used, because it is just truly an underrated car in the service. But enough of that, Squilliam. We'll definitely touch up on that, I'm sure, in a couple weeks' time, I should say, as we head to Bathurst. But thank you for joining me up here in the booth, Squill, and congratulations again on coming away with your second place finish, and hopefully get to talk to you again here in a couple weeks.
Thanks, man. Talk to you later.
Absolutely. You have a good one. Oops, I did not mean to cut him off there. Sorry, Squilliam. But Squilliam coming out of the booth here with that second place finish. Last and certainly not going to be least here, the man of the hour, and a man that we've already talked to once tonight, but he's going to get another opportunity to do it again. Welcome back to the booth, Beaver. It's a pleasure to have you back, and congratulations on your win here tonight for the feature, as I think that's going to solidify your lead in the championship for the Drivers' Championship. Beaver, I mean, you put on a clinic here. You definitely showed that you were looking to come away with the win after that sprint race, after Squilliam coming away with that win for our sprint here tonight. But we've already kind of touched on a lot of it during our first interview that we had, and I mean, what's kind of your takeaway from the feature? I mean, it was a very clean start. You worked your way through the field relatively quickly. It seemed like before we even were on lap 2, you were already back up in third, I think. What was kind of your thoughts here of our feature tonight?
Yeah, well, I tried to keep it patient, and before I knew it, yeah, those positions ticked off. I think Squilliam is amazing on cold tires, and he kind of laid a path the first half of that first lap, and then overdid it a little bit, so I got by him. So it was, yeah, I would say it was slow and methodical, but it did happen very quickly to get past people. And then after that, tires started warming up for everybody, and pace started picking up. Gareth was quick, AJ was quick, and I was lucky enough to get past those guys before their pace picked up, and Squilliam then got stuck behind those guys, and that was a good time to build the gap. And wasn't it such a lucky thing that I got to build the gap? Having that incident with the lap car there really did a number on the front end, and I lost a ton of downforce. So it was really nice to have that buffer built throughout the whole race.
Yeah, having a little bit of kind of leeway in the sense that if you do kind of make a boo-boo like that, you don't necessarily have to worry about someone being on your tail. But, I mean, kind of taking away the win here, taking away really the great pace that you had here at Sonoma, heading a couple weeks into Bathurst. I mean, what's kind of your expectations there? Is it a track that you're comfortable with? Is it something that you're not too comfortable with? What's kind of your outlook for Bathurst?
Bathurst is probably my favorite road course, so I think I'll do okay there. The mountain is such a roller coaster, and I love it. But I do fear that it might be kind of a draft track in the Radical, especially going down the front stretch and back stretch. So I'm expecting to see a lot of swapping on those straightaways. The car has a lot of downforce, so that's going to make the mountain pretty forgiving. I think going obviously downhill is the toughest part, and I think we'll see some lockups and incidents there. But I'll try to get practice in. I love that track. I love doing well there, so I'm very excited for it.
Well, and one final question for you here, Beaver, and it's more not necessarily a serious question, but
Sure.
what is the probability that you think someone is going to take the jump on the final lap at Bathurst?
Oh, on the final lap? I mean, for a dollar or two, I could see the champion or the points leader doing it. But other than that, I don't know. Definitely the lap after the last lap, we'll all be doing it. But perhaps someone could be persuaded to do it on the last lap.
Well, I think that would definitely be a hilarious way to end off the season, seeing a Radical fly through the air at Bathurst. But we won't speculate on that too much. Maybe I'll persuade someone. But
Yeah, there you go.
Either way, Beaver, I want to thank you again for joining me up here in the booth, and I appreciate all the time that you spend up here with me. It's always a pleasure getting to chat with you and getting to talk about your race. But one final time before we end things off here, anyone you want to shout out, anyone you want to thank at home before you go crack one open and get to celebrating?
Well, thank you, Mason, for putting on the streams all season with the sprint and endurance series. It's a lot of fun talking with you and then going back and watching the races. A ton of fun. So I'm glad you do this. And then for just super random, but I want to shout out Garlic Dog, and I don't know if he watches these back, but I see him less and less each race, and I think that's a good thing, because towards the beginning, we'd lap him a couple times, but now I didn't see him until right at the end of the race there. So I just want to shout out his improvement. It's awesome, and there are other drivers too that you see it, but Garlic Dog especially has really stuck with it. And yeah, it's totally out of the blue, but I just wanted to say his name out loud and kind of show everyone that you've put in the time, you're definitely gonna make time. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's always great to see the underdog start to really improve and really start to get up there with the big dogs, so to speak. But Beaver, thank you yet again for joining me up here in the booth, and I look forward to seeing you not only next week for the endurance race, but also in a couple weeks at Bathurst.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. You have a great one, Beaver.
You too. See ya.
Alrighty, folks, and that is going to do it for post-race interviews, and also going to conclude our coverage of race number 7 for the Just 2 Idiots Cup Series Sprint Series. here at Sonoma Raceway. I hope you've all enjoyed what you saw here tonight. And you all know the drill now at this point. If you like what you saw, hit that subscribe button. Catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad almost 7 nights a week. And also hit that like button if you enjoyed what you saw here tonight. It lets us know that we're doing an okay job up here in the booth. And as always, if you want to support Just Two Idiots or Team Goon Squad or both, you can head on over to teamgoonsquad.com. Pick up some merchandise, anything J2I specific. That can be a t-shirt, a sweater, stickers, coffee mug, whatever suits your flavor. 50% of the profits go directly back to J2I to help them continue to run their series and to allow us to continue to keep broadcasting for you folks at home. So always remember that you can be a supporter. You can represent your favorite league or your favorite broadcast team. Just know that it is one click away, teamgoonsquad.com. And if you want to be a part of the Just Two Idiots Cup Series, you can head on over to their website, J2ICS.com. Again, that is J2ICS.com. You can find all of the information for both their endurance and sprint series and see if it's something that you would like to be a part of and be a part of next season and be on track with these drivers. As always, my name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see you all in a few weeks' time as we head to Bathurst for the final round of the Sprint Series. And if you tune in next week as we head into Detroit for the Detroit Belle Isle race number 7 of the Endurance Series. That'll be all for tonight, folks. I hope you all enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you all the next one. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all next time.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Borcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Up now as we've got 3 wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Let's go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 to lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.